we doing, guys? It's JH the Boxing Fan here, back with another video. I hope you're well. In today's video, I'm going to be looking ahead at the weekend's boxing action at the OVO Wembley Arena in London. The all-British showdown. Dan Azeez putting his British and Commonwealth light heavyweight titles on the line against Josh Buatsi, former Olympic bronze medalist Josh Buatsi. I have to say, I'm really looking forward to this fight. It's probably the most excited I've been for a fight this year. And we've had a good start to the year, but this one I think is what I'm really looking forward to. I looked at tickets for it and slightly regretting now. I had it in my basket, decided against it, and I'm slightly regretting now that I'm not going to be there. But I decided I would rather be up close, sat in front of the TV to watch this one. So before I get onto it, guys, I want to just very quickly touch on last week's boxing action over on the zone over in Arizona. John Ryder out in action against Jaime Munguia, and obviously Jaime Munguia put on a real statement performance, didn't he, there against John Ryder. We did ask in the build up to that on a couple of questions. We asked what Ryder sort of had left in the tank, having of course previously gone in with Canelo Alvarez for all the belts only last time out, and coming up short in that 12-round contest. And to be fair to Ryder, I think it's fair to say, like, he didn't look like a man who had nothing left by any means. He was game and he stayed in there for as long as he could, didn't he? But I think it's fair to say he didn't look like peak John Ryder performance for me. I thought some of those early tactics were quite strange. He certainly looked more passive in the early rounds, John Ryder, than I thought he had done previously. He seemed quite content to let Munguia come on to him to control the movement. And he was like he was trying to catch Munguia on the way in with the counter. But I think Munguia, his sort of movement into range was really impressive. The way he was just sort of slightly just moving the head off the line, sort of getting in close to force Ryder back onto the ropes. And obviously made Ryder pay in the second round, catching him with that right hand. He did come back into it in some of the middle rounds, but as I say, it was a really good performance from Munguia. We also asked how good he was at 168. Did that 42-0 record flatter him? Does he have the ability to sort of go on and achieve great things at 168? And you have to say, it did look like a complete performance for me. As I thought, his movement was really impressive. His sideways movement, sort of pivoting to open up those angles of attack, to breach that John Ryder guard. Really, really impressive. Boxing at an outside range, boxing at inside range, carries, and he can take a shot as well. Because to be fair, John Ryder did land and have some success of his own at stages with those sort of short hooks. But we knew he could take a shot. We knew from the Davydenko fight that Munguia was tough. It'd be interesting to see where he goes now, Munguia. I'd like to see the Canelo fight. I don't necessarily know that we're going to see the Canelo fight next. For some reason or other, it doesn't seem to be the one they're talking about. Maybe Munguia will have one more. I think Canelo wants to go in with the other Charlo brother at middleweight, Jarmel Charlo. Used to be a bit of a common theme in boxing at the moment. Different boxers calling out different boxers from weight classes, rather than just trying to concentrate on their own division. And I think that's probably a financial thing to obviously try and get the names that are going to generate the higher revenues. But for me, I'd like to see Canelo either go in with Benavidez, who obviously is doing amazing things himself. I think he holds one of the interim titles. So we either want to see Benavidez, or look, let's see if Canelo perhaps goes in with someone, and then down the back end of the year, maybe Munguia goes in for one more, and then December, how good would that be? An all-Mexican showdown, maybe in Saudi, Munguia and Canelo at the end of the year in December. And I would make a controversial comment here now to say, is Munguia better all-round, as an all-round boxer, than Canelo? Obviously, Canelo, we know, will be on his chest. He's not going to fight the same tactics as Ryder. He'll be on him. He'll be pressing them early doors. And we know how strong and how effective Canelo is, and what he does and how good he is at it. But I just wonder if Jaime Munguia might be, as an all-round boxer, someone who can box at range, someone who can have it up close, with ring craftsmanship, Could he be the better all-round boxer? We will see, hopefully at some stage before too long. Now, guys, there was another fight over on DAZN, of course, in Belfast last week. The local man, Lewis Crocker, with that impressive stoppage performance against the experienced Mexican Felix. It was at welterweight. And I thought there looked a massive weight difference between the two of them, didn't there? It did really look like a sort of light middleweight going in with a lightweight. Really, it was he just looked so much bigger than him. Incredible atmosphere it looked like in Belfast, and obviously Crocker doing the business once again, moving to 19-0. Big fight on the horizon for him. I would say I think he just needs to be mindful to sort that weight issue out. Obviously, if he wants to challenge for titles at that weight, then he'll just have to make sure he can make that weight. I mean, to be fair to him, give him some credit. I mean, he's obviously just fought, hadn't he, in the December, when he beat Tyron McKenna, and in fairness, they obviously had Christmas in between. I think it was a 6-week turnaround, so I wouldn't be too critical in that circumstance. But obviously, going forward, I think he'll need to decide at what weight limit his future will lie. But no doubt, whichever way it goes, he will go on to impressive things. And I will just say very quickly on DAZN, that feature they give you on the app where they break down the fight card and they let you go in, and if there's multiple fights in one night or 2 shows in one night, you can literally just go in and pick the fight and pick the fight card and pick the fight you want to watch. Lovely little feature on the DAZN app, I think. Just give DAZN some credit. I know there's a lot of criticism about DAZN and their price planning at times, but I do think that is one very good little thing that some of the other service providers might look at. Okay, guys, now let's get into this weekend's action. As I say, this fight for me is set up beautifully, and the reason I say that, the reason I think this is so exciting this weekend, is just a dichotomy of what we got going into this one. 2 guys there who, I will just say that, you know, Josh Buatsi and Dan Azeez, I'm not fooled by by this sort of you know, the gloves are off and some of this sort of talk in the build-up. These 2 are good friends. You can tell there's a lot of respect between these 2 guys. I think they're just trying to sell the fight. For some reason or other, I've heard it's not been an easier sell as you might have thought, although I think now, you know, things have, now they moved to a sort of smaller venue and things are more encouraging there. But certainly there was rumours that it wasn't selling as well. And I think that these 2, obviously there's been a bit of talk in the build-up. Dan Azeez calling Buatsi a diva, or Buatsi just at the weigh-in today blaming Dan Azeez for being late and what have you. And so they're sort of getting under each other's skin a bit as the fight's getting, you know, closer. And of course, they're going to get into that fight mentality of, you know, they're not friends when they get into the ring. Let's have that right. But you can tell there's respect there. And what I like about this is that it's really much the case of almost like the master and the apprentice. These 2 guys apparently used to spar many rounds with each other. We know that Josh Buatsi achieved such great things as an amateur, going to the Olympics, very technically well-schooled boxer, whereas Dan Azeez, by contrast, didn't have that amateur schooling, but has gone on in the pro ranks to sort of, overachieve, but achieve time and time and again. He's always been the underdog. He's gone British, Commonwealth, European, beating guys that he on paper was shouldn't have been beaten or should have been struggling, and yet here he is. So they've both got a lot to lose. Obviously, they've both got their undefeated records to lose, but not only that, there's the bragging rights, and there's also, I suppose, that sort of thing of where they both think they can go. Because Josh Buatsi, and this is what surprised me when I looked at their records, I expected to see, like, I don't know why I expected it, but I just thought that you'd look at their records and there'd be a contrast between what they've been in with. And actually there isn't. There really isn't. I was trying to like look at who and what Josh Buatsi's best win was and who he'd been in with. Probably I would say it's actually Craig Richards, who he beat fight before last, in a 12-round points decision win. And I say that really because Craig Richards is no mug at light heavy, and he'd obviously gone 12 rounds with Dimitri Bivol. I know he lost that fight, but to go 12 rounds with Dimitri Bivol, you know your way around a boxing ring. So I think that was probably, for me, Josh Buatsi's best win. The Hosea Burton fight for me was Dan Azeez's most impressive performance. And I mean, Hosea Burton, different prospect to Buatsi, tall, rangy fighter, and it probably played into Dan Azeez's hands to some extent, because Dan Azeez is a real sort of like strong, compact fighter, what I call. He likes to get himself in range and have it in range, and I like the way he gets himself there. I think he's got that real ballsy style where he sort of just jump himself into range sometimes, and then when he gets there, he'll let his hands go and throw the sort of overhand shots. He never has really looked that troubled to me, and I think that's just because he's so effective. He's so sort of tight with his guard, compact. He almost looks to me like he could be a super middleweight, should we say, conditioned. He always looks to me, and just someone who you can tell has worked at his game, to get himself to be the best version of what he can and what he can achieve, contrary to what he probably should have achieved. And that's why he's just beaten these opponents time and time again who people didn't think he was going to beat. And Josh Buatsi, just by total contrast, is someone who we've always thought was going to achieve good things. You come at that schooling from the amateurs and you're waiting for him to achieve greatness. You're waiting for him to be a world champion or have world champion contending fights. And he's never yet quite got there. But when you look at Josh Buatsi, you look at someone who just, you can tell is just the natural ability is what strikes me with Josh Buatsi. I always just look at him like you just don't know how he's doing what he's doing. For me, how is he doing it? His movement, he's just so quick. It's almost like he's thinking before they've even thought of it. He knows where the punches are coming from. He knows where he's going to be, his movement. He's got power in both hands. He throws from right and left. The way he can sort of throw the left hook, the lead left hook with almost his most devastating power is his right hand. Obviously his right hand is his big shot, but he doesn't just use that left hand for a jab. He uses it with bent arm punches as well. It's just his speed, his hand speed, his foot speed, his speed of mind. And that's why I think Josh Buatsi has the edge here. I think that Josh Buatsi will basically outspeed Dan Azeez. I think his jab will be sharper. I think he's going to outscore Dan Azeez in a lot of rounds. I'm hoping we see one of these fights where, and this is kind of how I can see this one going, one of those fights where Dan Azeez maybe might have a few difficult early rounds. He might be just getting tagged, you know, a bit too easily here and there. Might be getting out jabbed by Josh Buatsi. Josh Buatsi, I don't think will want to get drawn into anything early. He won't want to forgo the advantages that he's got. So I think he's going to try and keep it more of a boxing contest early doors. But I can just say, and I'm hoping that the way the fight goes is around the 5th or 6th round, we just go, wow, Dan Azeez lands something and everyone goes, okay, now there's a fight on. So I mean, you just get that respect. He just lands one of those shots. Maybe it'd be one of his right hands or a hook, maybe an uppercut, who knows. But something that Dan Azeez just goes, do you know what? I'm here, I'm having it. Never mind those sparring sessions where you used to get the better of me. This is the pro game now. And I hope that that fight just springs into action. I can just see it, where suddenly that fight springs into action, and then we have just one of those great fights. This is how I think this is going to go. I think it's going to be a real fight for the ages. I'm looking forward to it. I'm actually a bit gutted I'm not there now, but I'll be tuned into it. And I say I'm really looking forward to this one. And I hope that there's a situation where both these guys' stocks can rise, because I think they deserve it, really. Sometimes in boxing, you get that scenario where you don't want someone to lose, and that's how I feel about this fight, because we want to see Josh Buatsi kick on from here and show us that he's capable of achieving world honours at light heavy, and at the same time we want to see how far Dan Azeez can go. Is he just reached that level already, or has he got more to show? Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think it's to say it's got all the ingredients, this one, and I'll be tuning in. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Who have you got for this one? Do you think Dan Azeez has got that one more upset in him, upset the odds once again? Or do you think this could be a Buatsi win? Look, we're going to get to see all the usual skyboxer prospects out in action. Adam Azeez, I think he's got quite a straightforward fight there. Defending his, I think his EBU European title. I think the guy he's going in with is actually by my mind, lesser of an opponent than he's been in with previously, even in his early stage of his career. They fought a guy 2 or 3 fights ago, I forget his name now, but he came through that one flying colours. And this guy, I think he'll do similar. We should see, obviously, Benn, Whitaker and Caroline Dubois do their thing. And of course, it's not all about this side of the pond this weekend, guys, because there is obviously a show over in Vegas with the returning Conor Benn out in action. I'm not going to say too much about that. I mean, the only thing that annoys me a little bit on the whole Conor Benn one is obviously that, you know, he keeps talking, the way he talks like and mentions his name at all these world beaters. Just sometimes I just think, like, just be honest, just come out and say, do you know what? Yes, I'm having a couple of get back fights. I'm having a couple of and it's not just him, obviously the promoter has a lot to do with it. They're trying to link him with all these names that most of them aren't even in his weight class. But, you know, just come out and say, listen, what it is. It's a couple of comeback fights that he's having. He tested himself up at super welter. And this time, obviously, he's going in with a guy who hasn't really been in with anyone of note. Peter Dobson, I think it is. But that's okay. Like, you're not just going to jump back in with world beaters, but just say it right. And this is the whole frustrating thing with Benn. Obviously, we just sometimes feel like he doesn't do himself any favours. And again, like, he's got to get on with his career. I understand that. But I just think sometimes the way he talks, I find it frustrating. Anyway, that all said, remember when I used to watch Conor Benn when he was coming up through and he was smashing people out. Me and my pals used to text each other and we'd be just like, wow, this kid, look at his talent. Like, look at what, he's frightening power and frightening ability. And it's just a shame for me that we're sort of where we are with the Benn sort of side of things. But that all said, look, I'm going to be tuning in. I'm going to have an eye on how he's doing. I still think, as I say, you know, we feel like there's not been that sort of what's the word, reprimand or action to the reaction to the action, if you like. Had he perhaps been more straightforward early on and served the ban, I'd say he'd be back now fighting, and probably we'd all be a bit more forgiving. But we are where we are. Anyway, I'm not going to say any more about that. So, cracking weekend lined up, guys. I hope you enjoy it if you're tuning in. And of course, I'm hoping to get a reaction video out Sunday or Monday. I'm sorry I've not been as active of late. I've been flat out of late. And obviously, unfortunately, JH boxing fan, don't pay the bills. I just do this for the love. I just do this for the love, guys. Boxing is my is something I'm a big fan of, as the name suggests. And I just enjoy the opportunity to talk about it. But as I say, sometimes work gets in the way. But we are where we are. Anyway, guys, thanks for tuning in. I'm grateful to you for listening. And I'll see you on the next one. Thanks, guys. Now, guys, that was obviously supposed to be the end of the video. But a bit of breaking news while I was editing. Bitterly disappointing news we're hearing. Breaking that Tyson Fury's fight with Alexander Usyk, set of course for 17th of February, has been cancelled, postponed as a result of an injury that Tyson Fury has apparently picked up. A cut over his right eye, picked up in sparring. It looks like it's the same cut or the same eye that obviously was damaged when he fought Otto Wallin. Potentially looks so it's been reopened, but bitterly disappointing news for us fight fans. It looked like we finally thought we were going to see the big one, the undisputed. It was all set to happen in just a couple of weeks' time, and now we've got the news that it is off. And obviously the conspiracy theories are going to start flying around, guys, because, you know, a lot of people were saying Fury was having some issues in his preparation with his sparring. A lot of people predicting, even still, I heard people predicting that this fight still might not happen. Until those two men were in the ring, people were saying that it still might not happen. I think G-Man had mentioned it in one of his videos. And that video where they had that sit down with Steve Bunt, I mean, easy to say in hindsight, but To me, Fury didn't look quite right in that video. He didn't look like the usual pre-fight Tyson Fury that we see. The Tyson Fury that really sets about his opponents with the mind games. The Tyson Fury that is almost in like that fight mode of just trying to win those verbal battles. He was very sort of kept subdued, I thought. Very respectful, very unlike free fight mode Tyson Fury. Easy to say, I know. I mean, look, it could just be a genuine, I'm sure you know, it's just a genuine thing that can happen, but it just seems odd, doesn't it? A lot of coincidences going on, and unfortunately, cut of that nature, it looks like it's going to be months, I would think now, and they're going to be renegotiations. Are we going to see that fight this year? I mean, I think if we will, it'll be towards the back end of the year. Who knows what can happen in the meantime? Who knows if the governing bodies are going to stand by it? You know, you've got the Riyadh season. Obviously, they only hold fights for this early part of the year. Once we get to their summer, you know, you're then talking about probably the end of the year before we're going to see this one. So, unfortunately, it's off again, and we're not going to get to see the one that we've all been so looking forward to. Anyway, guys, I'm sure there'll be more on that to come in the coming days and weeks, but just thought I would get my comment in that Tyson Fury Usyk, the thriller in the desert, whatever they were calling it, is unfortunately off ski. Thanks for listening, guys. See you on the next one.